Welcome to Investor's Guide on ET Now. I'm so glad you joined us this week. Happy Diwali to you and your family. We wish you a wonderfully prosperous new year. Now, this is the second part in our two-part series on our special Diwali episodes on Investor's Guide. Like we did in our previous episode, on this episode, we've picked two more families. We're going to help them with their finances. We're going to give out advice that you could possibly use to plan for your family's future as well. So starting off, let me bring in our guests again. These are the guests who helped us on the previous episode. Vishal and Gaurav, thank you for staying with us. And Virendra Kumar, of course, no Investor's Guide episode is complete without you. Happy Diwali to all three of you. And thank you for spending Diwali with us. All right, let's get straight to our first family. The Sashishthals are a family of bankers. And take a look at their wonderful family. We're going to come back and talk about their finances and give them advice on how they can plan for the future. The Sashishthals are a family of bankers. Vikram and his wife Gauratha want to invest in gold this festive season to create a kitty for their daughter's wedding. Vikram's parents are retired bankers who have comfortable pensions to live on, although their lack of health insurance causes their son some worry.
We want some recommendations from you on our financial planning. Which is the best medical insurance plan which would cover my family as well as my parents?
Vikram and Gauratha have put together a corpus of 50 lakh rupees. But he worries that buying a second home could shift focus away from their other financial goals.
Would you recommend me investing in property in the next 2 or 3 years? Also, considering that I invest in property, would you recommend that I increase my term plan, which is currently 75 lakhs? Also, considering that my wife is working, would you recommend her buying a term plan?
All right, Vikram there with his family and his 2-year-old daughter. Well, just to give you a recap, income of 72,000 rupees a month, already owns a 2 BHK in Malad in Mumbai. He has investments worth about 50 lakh rupees. And he has a lot of questions about how he should be planning. He wants to plan for his daughter, his own retirement. The family is thinking of another child right now. His big question is, should he be buying another home? But I'm going to start with his term insurance. Vishal, he's written in saying that he has 75 lakh rupees as term insurance right now. He wants to know that since his wife is working as well, should she also get a term plan?
I think it is important for every earning member of the family to have protection or some assured attached to their name, because that income is adding up to the household's finances, and therefore should that income cease, then the family will go through a financial crunch. So that's the primary purpose. So yes, the wife should have a term assurance plan of her own.
For women, when you get a term insurance plan, it's always slightly cheaper. So you should take that into consideration, especially with the plans that you get online now. They're really easy to get. And buy them when you're young. They become cheaper. Gaurav, health insurance. And he tells us that he has parents living with him, retired bankers. They have pensions right now that are supporting them, but they don't have health insurance. Now, we talked about this in the previous episode as well, when you said get individual policies for each one of them. But he wants to get a policy that will cover his parents as well. Now, is there a family floater that covers parents above the age of 60, or will he have to take
that will be there. So a family floater will cover. I also think that since both of them are bankers, chances are that his employers could be covering parents as well. So he wants to check that. Only thing is, if he was to change jobs or something, then there'll be an issue. Otherwise, yes, you do get family floaters where parents can be covered, and he can pick that up.
That's important when you're buying a family floater. Remember to check what the maximum age is, so your parents stay covered for a longer period of time. Dinendra, before I come to his specific mutual fund investments, he has a lot of money going into debt right now. As a banker, maybe he prefers FDs. There's a lot of money going into FDs, a lot of money going into PF as well. A total of 42 lakh rupees between husband and wife. Not enough going into equity. Would you say he needs to replan his allocation right now?
Given that he has 20 years for his, his own retirement and 15 years for his, 50 lakh which he requires for his daughter, he has the time on his side, and he has, about 18% of his financial net worth, current net worth, is into equity, which I think is very low. Also, the tax inefficiency of all the bank deposit. So I would say that, it should be simplified. Just because he's a banker, he should not be making bank deposit of any magnitude. I think it should be the other way around. it should be 15% fixed income, 85% in equity, and then gradually, you know, as he gets closer to his goal, that it should start getting reversed.
Now, there's a problem with that advice because a lot of that money is going into EPF, PF, PPF. This is not money that he can break and pull out at this point. So he should leave that money in. So would you say take the money out of the fixed deposits then?
I think so, because, you know, fixed deposit is a sizable chunk. Not only that, PPF is voluntary.
You're saying even though it may cost him a 1% or a 2% penalty to break the fixed deposit, it still makes sense?
Not necessarily, at least change the track from here on. It will start realigning and change, you know, certainly make, you know, don't necessarily have to make the, or maybe, you know, it is worth considering breaking your fixed deposit on a premature basis and then moving your money steadily, gradually into equity, because equity investment at one go is also undesirable for a person who has been conservative with his investment and been into fixed deposit. So reconciling with the change track, and that I think will require some hand holding, but all his fixed income investment which is voluntary should be stopped and should start moving into equity.
All right, so let's take a look at his mutual fund investments. You said we're going to have to handhold him through this transition now. He has about 4 or 5. Again, they're quite mixed. He has mid-cap, he has equity, he has tax relief. So would you suggest that this is a good mix for him? Can you simplify it right now if he's going to move all of that money into equity?
Yes, it should be simplified, and I think, you know, a more simplified approach will be, you know, our aggressive portfolio.
Okay.
But
for someone who's so who prefers debt so much and fixed income so much, isn't our aggressive portfolio a bit of a culture shock or an investment shock for him?
Then maybe, you know, a notch lower, getting into our growth portfolio. But the key point is that, you know, our aggressive portfolio is 10% into fixed income. He should consider his, you know, of course it can't be rebalanced. His PPF has one such component, or the 20% into the growth portfolio.
All right, so our growth portfolio flashing on your screen. Remember, so far you have to get health insurance, you have to get life insurance for your wife. You have to stop most of the money that's going into your fixed income if you can. Keep the PPF for the EPF, one of the two, at 10% or 15% of your portfolio. Rest of the money needs to go into equity for the long term. Gaurav, you noticed the fact that you've been talking about gold in this episode. He wants to put aside some money, start a kitty for his daughter. He wants to know if gold Bs are the best way to do that. Would you recommend he gets into the gold ETF?
Yes, I do, but I do one more thing. He has outstanding loans. And that probably I would want to look into, because what you're talking about is an outstanding on credit card and an auto loan. Now, if you have a loan outstanding and if you're putting anywhere, it's a kind of leveraging. So I would recommend him to get out of those first. And yes, gold in an exchange traded form, gold in a portfolio from an asset allocation perspective is an excellent choice.
All right, so make sure you keep an eye on those loans. 27,000 in credit cards for a banking family. Vishal, you're a banker. Is that can you give them any advice on managing those credit card bills?
What I see, the 27,000 rupees is the current outstanding. If he is revolving that, then clearly he should not do that. I see this, being a good accountant, he's just recognizing that this is an outstanding for this month end. We should pay it off quickly. As a transaction medium, a credit card is a great medium. But beyond that, if you're trying to revolve on that, it's not a very good idea at all.
All right, so don't roll over those credit card bills for another month, because the interest you pay on those credit cards is so high that none of your investments can compensate that. The other big question is he wants to know the 50 lakh rupees that he's accumulated so far. Should he buy a second home in Mumbai? Is that good advice to buy a second home? You have very strong opinions about this second home because of the fact that it's so illiquid and it's so difficult to manage if you give it out on rent.
Yeah, and also, you know, particularly in Bombay, I think it could be very difficult. And a lot of people, you know, think of real estate that you never lose money. That is largely true. But it is also true that, you know, on a 20-year base, on a 20-year holding period, you never lose money on most investments. But you know, and also, you know, by design, real estate becomes illiquid. You end up holding it, and people tend to. And also, you know, the advantage of real estate is that you don't get the stock price listed in the newspaper on a day-to-day basis. So, you know, even if it does not appreciate for next 4 years, 5 years, you don't care. But I don't think that's the right way of looking at it. We have seen long periods of, you know, time correction. Real estate may not decline in value, but we have seen it in Delhi and neighborhood areas that for 10 years there wasn't any appreciation. So and the rental yield was too low for you to, you know, it may not have beaten inflation. So there are long phases, and that is a possibility which can't be ruled out.
All right, Vikram, that's all of the advice you're getting on the show today. Remember, quick recap: health insurance, life insurance for your wife as well as yourself. make sure, of course, that you use the asset allocation that you recommended on this show, which is 15% debt and the remaining in equity. That's the same asset allocation you should use for this 50 lakh rupees that you have set aside right now. All three experts saying that buying a second home might not be the best idea for you, especially since you're planning for your daughter and you have parents depending on you. That might be too much of an illiquid asset for you to put in your portfolio right now. Good luck. Happy Diwali. Write back to us if you need anything else. Coming up on the other side of this break, we're going to handle one more family and give them advice for their future. So don't go anywhere.